guys, welcome to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Just a fantastic conversation today about academics along with athletics. We had Sam Napierkowski from Snyder Hockey on, whose main role at that organization is helping middle school and high school students get through the program. And I'll explain Snyder Hockey a lot in the intro, but what you need to know is that this organization has really championed and figured out how to merge education, life skills, and hockey into one very successful organization. They have kids playing at some of the top levels in the country, and they start from learn to skate all the way through in an incredible environment that I think is a great example for everybody in hockey. Just love this conversation. Speaking of education, cool story for you. I got a call from a friend of mine saying that my son did a book report on when hockey stops recently in his classroom, and now all his kids want that story. Blown away by the support we've had with that book. If you're watching, I'm holding it up right now, When Hockey Stops. This is going to be a great gift for your hockey player this winter, no matter what you celebrate. So if you want a signed, personalized copy, you can get that over at whenhockeystops.com. All right. Or you can just Amazon it up and grab it and give a 5-star review on there. But wherever you want to get it, it's up to you. If you want a personalized copy signed by me to your child, you can do that. We can get Christy to sign them too. But whenhockeystops.com for that, or Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold, it's available. But if you're looking for that great, quick holiday, affordable gift for your kid to be reading about hockey, check it out, whenhockeystops.com, or the book itself, When Hockey Stops. But without further ado, that's my little PSA for this one. I was blown away by that book report. Enjoy this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey with Sam Napierkowski of Snyder Hockey. Hello, hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. I'm Lee Elias, and I'm joined by the two greatest line mates in the history of hockey podcasting, Christy Casciano-Burns and Mike Benelli. And continuing our trend of fabulous guests this month, we are pleased to have on the Senior Manager of Educational Programs for Snyder Youth Hockey Education, Sam Napierkowski, with us today. Now, I know what many of you outside the Philadelphia area that listen are thinking. What is Snyder Hockey? Well, allow me to explain. Snyder Hockey, which was established in 2005 by the late and great Philadelphia Flyers owner Ed Snyder, was created with the purpose of providing a means to reach inner city children in the Philadelphia area and to provide them with the opportunity to learn to play hockey. And today, the organization serves over 1,500 students aged 4 to 24 and has 7 recreation centers at sites located around the city. It's become a staple of hockey in Philadelphia. Snyder Hockey prioritizes education through making sure that participation in the program is contingent on being dedicated students along with being dedicated hockey players. That's something the parents listening today are going to love, because we're going to enable school. And perhaps most amazing all of these programs, all of the ones I'm talking about, are given at no cost to the students. And believe me, there's a lot more we can talk about when it comes to Snyder Hockey, but I'm going to save it for the show because I want to introduce our guest right now. Sam, again, Napierkowski, again, I love saying your name now that I know how to say it right, was one of the organization's first academic interns in the spring of 2013, where she was immediately hired as an academic assistant after. And today, she is the Senior Manager of Educational Programs, and she provides the middle school and high school programs with supplemental education opportunities, tutoring support, and planning for after graduation, and much, much more. We'll get into it. Sam was born and raised in Philadelphia, like myself, so I'm happy to say that. Sorry, Christy and Mike, that's something I had to say. She's a great lover of the game of hockey, obviously, and we are happy to have her with us here today. Sam, that was one of my longer intros, but it was well-deserved. Welcome to Our Kids Play Hockey.
That was quite the introduction. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate being here, making time for me today to talk about some really exciting opportunities that Snyder Hockey's working on right now.
Well, look, we're excited to have you. I'm excited for this show. And we were talking a little bit before for parents. We're going to talk about how great this organization is, but Snyder Hockey has really figured out a way to kind of merge school and hockey together very successfully. So, Sam, I'm going to kind of start there. Snyder Hockey, it's one of the most successful programs of its type in the country. What do you find are the key factors to its success?
So I think that we really try to meet families where they're at, meet students where they're at, and inspire the love of hockey and really build that community around hockey. And once we get students kind of hooked on the game and hooked on the friendships and the mentorship relationships that they can build, offer other services, other opportunities to kind of work on that holistic student development. So I think it has a lot to do with relationships and building that out to have success now and in the future.
And Sam, I want to just pick up on what you just said, meet
Yeah.
families where they're at, which I think is so important because so many have a different type of philosophy. You have to come to us. And that's really kind of tough for a lot of families. And you found the key is going to them. If you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so when Mr. Snyder started this organization, he knew he wanted to bring the sport of hockey to communities that don't have the opportunity to play it otherwise. So we were going into rec centers that are located in areas of the city that are under-resourced. And the cost side of things was definitely an important factor. We didn't want that to be a barrier for students and families to be able to participate. So we're in the communities that we're trying to serve. We are trying to break down barriers and really being as welcoming as possible so that if anybody's interested in taking part in what we can offer, there are a few obstacles as possible for them to get over to participate with us however they want to.
You know, what I love about this organization, I remember when it started because, and it started just for the reason you said, you know, look, Ed Snyder was a great owner in not just bringing hockey to Philadelphia and his passion for the Flyers, but his passion for the game. And you know, we're one of the cool things about Snyder hockey, and we're seeing these results now is a lot of people could look at that and go, oh, that's a nice little charitable organization. It's producing some really top level hockey players. They've got players in some of the top leagues in America. They have someone in the U.S. development program at this point. You know, so this is not some just side after school program, right? So, you know, again, Sam, a lot of our audience always wants to know what their kids can do to get to the next level, right? What have you found to be the factors of success amongst the athletes that are accomplishing hockey at that level?
I mean, dedication, I think, is the biggest factor. It's a lot of work that top athletes have to put into it, and it's not just going to practices. It's spending extra time to be working out physically. It is eating the right things, sleeping, practicing mindfulness. Like, there's a lot that goes into being a top athlete. And one of the things we talk a lot about at Snyder Hockey is it's not just about being an athlete. Like, we always call our students student athletes, and obviously the student is the first part of that phrase. So as an organization, we definitely also really prioritize education and making sure that if students want to go on and potentially play college level hockey, they have to know that they have to be strong students. They have to be ready to take on college level work and put themselves in the right position. And not all of our students go the college route or play college hockey, but we want them to have that option. So we really try to instill not just being a really strong athlete on the ice and off the ice, but being a really strong student so you can take advantage of whatever opportunities you want to down the line.
And your kids have really been on some pretty transformative paths. You know, I've watched a couple of videos, and you know, a couple of the young men said they had no idea what hockey was all about. Their parents had no clue what hockey was all about. Then they got a taste of it, and they just wanted to, you know, feel like they're flying, is what one of the young men said in the video. And
Nice pun, Christy.
yeah,
That works for this one. Yeah.
they just couldn't give it up, you know, once they got a taste of it. And then they really, you know, knew that they had to keep up the grades if they wanted to, you know, keep skating. So I was wondering if you could maybe just share a few examples of, you know, your success stories. And there are plenty of them.
Yeah, it's honestly a little difficult to pick just a few. So I think Kassir, and Kassir is probably the one who I think you're referencing in the video you probably watched. Kassir is, I mean, he's amazing in every sense of the word, and he's always been such an inspiration to me. The entire time I've worked here, I've known him, and he's grown so much. Right now, he's at Howard Law School. He graduated from Drexel University, has been very successful, is on the Friends of Snyder Hockey, which means he's not only giving back time, he's also giving back financially to the organization. So he just finished a leadership development program at Exelon. So he's somebody that, and again, he lived, his house is right next to the rink that he ended up playing at. He came in one day, kind of just got roped into playing, and hasn't left the organization since. And so Kassir is a huge inspiration. We definitely love to bring him out to talk to our younger students and let them know what kind of options are available to them. And again, he played ice hockey in college for Drexel's team, but that obviously wasn't the root of all his successes. He went on to do much bigger and better things than just his hockey career. We have other students. Sadie is one who comes to mind for me. I worked with Sadie for a number of years. She's from Pennsauken, so one of our New Jersey students. After graduating high school, she went on to go through community college. It took her a few years to get through that, then transferred to Rutgers Camden and graduated with an animation degree. And now she is actually a teacher in the Camden area and is doing art and after school programming with students, and again is super successful, is loving her job, getting to do things she wants to do. But again, hockey was the vehicle for her entry and her continued work with us. So I think those are two that come to mind. But again, I could probably talk for way longer than this podcast is going to go about different success stories and students at different points of their journey, not ultimately at their career yet, but having great success in high school or having great success in college or trade school or the union that they may be working for. So there's lots of great stories from Snyder hockey students.
I always like to say too, just for a listening audience that is not from the Northeast tri-state area, South New Jersey is very Philadelphia. North New Jersey is very Devils, Rangers, Islanders, and Central Jersey is a hiatus that no one really knows what's going on there. It just kind of exists. But one of the things you talked about, Sam, that I want to dive into, and I want everybody listening, if you have a moment, to go check out the Snyder Hockey website, because there right now they have this kind of annual review that they put up every year, and it's inspiring to read. Just as a hockey person, it's inspiring to read. It's very well put together. It's visually well put together. But what I love about it, Sam, is it doesn't just celebrate what the organization's doing now. There's spotlights on alumni, and not just what they've done in hockey. It's where they went to school, what jobs they're doing now, how hockey was a conduit to lead them to these opportunities, which is something we talk about all the time on this show. And this is where I'm going with this. Mike, I want to bring you in on this part too, because this is something I see. We always talk a lot about the difference between club and high school or middle school hockey. Now, anytime you're playing in a school hockey situation, grades play into it. That's just kind of natural. Sometimes high school hockey coaches probably don't want that to be that way, but that's the way it is. But when you get to club hockey, it may or may not be a focus. Now, in my home growing up, if I didn't get good grades, I was not going to play. My parents made that very clear. I'm a big proponent of parents telling their kids that your schoolwork has to coincide with your hockey. You're not going to play if you're failing out of school. It's just not the way it is. But one of the things I want to see more of is when I go to rinks that have very high level organizations, and I go to the wall and here's all the hockey players that have played in college, pro, junior, all their names are listed. I see nothing about academic alumni. I would love to see this kid played for our program, just like Snyder Hockey does, went to this school and now is working at this organization. I think those two things should be a little more closely tied together. And again, I understand club teams that, look, the money is in the hockey. At least that's what it seems. You do yourself a favor if you share the alumni and what they did after being part of your program as well. That making the school, the education part, just as important, because again, I am always terrified when I meet the parent who goes, yeah, my kid's 17, AAA, going junior. I don't say this lightly. You're one injury away from that not being the case. And if they do not have their education there, you're going to be in a tight spot, especially if they only identify as I'm a hockey player, right? Now, I think that's on us. And it's a long-winded kind of question. I think it's on us as parents to make sure that we set that foundation. As my parents always told me, you've got to have a backup plan if hockey doesn't work out, right? They were Miyagiing me, as I say. The backup plan was the plan for them. But I was always aware of, like, I can't do this forever. You have to have something, right? I just think Snyder Hockey has championed that, at least in the Philadelphia area. And I want to know, to the whole panel here, right? What can we do to inspire organizations to do that more? And again, Sam, you have found success with this. So I'm not just throwing this up in the air like this might be a good idea. You have found success with this. Mike, I'm going to throw it to you. Sorry. What do you think the holdup here is in organizations doing that?
Yeah, I mean, when you hear Sam and the Snyder story, right, and how she talks about the process of a true student athlete and mentorship and alum, but more like, those role models, right? That people, we've heard this a million times on this show, and we say this to our own kids, right? You can't be it unless you can see it, right? If that's that's the kind of stuff that, with the organization I work with up here, ice hockey in Harlem and hockey in Norwalk and hockey in Newark, and they're all kind of the same, the same basis of, well, how do we bring, and I hate this word, actually. I hate that the format that it's underserved communities that don't don't get the opportunity for kids to build education and athletics, or use athletics to build their education. Because to me, to Lee's point, as you're talking, Lee, I'm thinking, like, what the hell are we, like, why don't we all do this? Like, I don't understand why.
Yeah.
I don't understand why when our kids get into sports, the least common the one common denominator in all of athletics is your kid's not going to use athletics as the way they're going to make a living, right? It's like the 1% of the 1%, the God-given talent, the player that, obviously, Sam, right? You've given access to a player or to an athlete that now can find an opportunity to play at a very high level. But that's really, 99% of your students. You just want to get them through life and get them where they can graduate or find some type of educational value or trade, or and then come back and then bring that to the next generation. So I think I would ask, like, what is, like, because I'm thinking from a point of view of a youth hockey club organization, right? What is the life cycle of a Schneider hockey player? Like, when do they come in most of the time? Is it always at 5, 6, 7, and 8? Is it like the learn to play area? Or what's the percentages of your kids that you're getting that are teenagers, that are, maybe like non-traditionally would be starting hockey, at 10 or 11 or 12 years old? And then what's the life cycle of that student? Because it must be really hard to keep those kids in your program when you do see success, like when you do see a player that has potential athletically, to then keep them and say, well, yeah, you could go down the street and play for this AAA, elite franchise, but then the schooling part is eliminated. Like, there'll be no other piece of that, because I've never seen a youth hockey coach ask what a player's grades were or how they were doing in school. Just doesn't happen, right?
Which is kind of terrifying, to be totally fair.
Well, it is, because if we're parents, right? Well, and we're starting to see that, right? I mean, we're starting to see what Snyder hockey has done is now at the elite level, at the level of where parents can fund it themselves. Now you're seeing these academies and these all-day hockey schools, and it's really the model is the underserved free model, right? Except now somebody's found a way to monetize it and say, well, why can't I just do that with a bunch of rich kids and kids that have everything, and I'll put them into hockey and school all day. But I guess my question is, Sam, that in that life cycle, in that you bring them in, what are the processes of keeping them and then convincing them that they can make it to the next year and make it to the next year and make it to the next year, while keeping hockey and academics both very strong components of your program?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. So we start recruiting kids at 4 or 5 years old. Are usually, I think, 9 to 10 years old is actually where we have the highest number of students participating with us. Not all of them necessarily are learn to skate students, but late elementary school, late elementary school, early middle school is kind of like where we peak with our students. And so we do have a learn to skate program that all students go through. It's a 6-week program. And there's a learn to play program that they'll go through. And that's kind of when they start getting their hockey gear and learning the lingo and doing what they need to do as far as that goes. And then we have an in-house league called the Snyder Hockey League, so the SHL. So our rinks will play against each other. And this year really is going to be a big focus on trying to make the SHL as fun and exciting as it can be. So really just bringing out team culture and having team traditions and jerseys and songs and things like that to really make the experience fun and enriching for students. We know that over the last 2 years, especially, students have kind of been robbed of those experiences. So we really want to make fun and team building a big part of it. And then we do have travel programs that students can be evaluated for each spring and move on to. So there is kind of a life cycle internally. And then we do have a very small percentage of students who we will support if going and playing a higher level than we can provide is what our staff feels like is the best move for them. We have supported students going on and playing tier 1 hockey and AAA and really being in other places than just with us. And so, yeah, we kind of are working with students, elementary school, middle school, high school, trying to keep students in the loop on things and offering different opportunities along the way to engage them. We do have scholarships for high school and then scholarships for college. So that has definitely made more middle school and high school students stick around and families see the value in that. So that's definitely helped. And then I think one of the big things that also kind of ties back to the success we have is, so when students graduate from high school, that's when we consider them Snyder alumni. We hire a lot of our alumni to come back and be coaches for us. So the last 2 or 3 summers, the majority of the staff we've had working at camps have been Snyder alumni. So those are, yeah. And so like, we know that hockey is a predominantly white sport, a middle class suburban sport. And so like, we already have worked with students who are students of color and from low income backgrounds and come from the same neighborhoods that our current students come from. So it's a total recipe of success for having that cycle of giving back and having role models built into the coaching staff that we have, where students can really see themselves being successful hockey players, but going on to college or finding another job and this kind of just being part-time with what people do because they enjoy it. So there definitely is a long life cycle. We're trying to work with students for 10 years plus. But yeah, we try to do different things along the way to hopefully entice them on the hockey side and then also give some educational benefits and opportunities to keep them moving along in their process.
Sam, I want to just, I wrote some notes on this, and there's a reason I want to revisit it, because we had a whole episode here. We were talking about kind of in-house versus club versus school. And I think you've literally just, blueprinted a line for success in hockey. And I just want to read through this progression again for us. You did a great job of explaining it. And it's just, I'm amazed by this. You go from learn to skate to kind of learn to play in an in-house league, right? Develop those players who are, by the way, coached by alumnus. Then you get to a development standpoint where you support them. And if they need to, they move on to other teams with a fantastic grounding in school development and understanding of life skills. And then once they're done, if they don't get to the next level, they come back as alumni to help. If that's not a blueprint for how this game should be run, I don't know what is. And I want to reiterate, and this is the key for me, and you said this, right? These are extremely low income homes. These are kids that statistically do not leave a mile radius of their home growing up. Their whole world is that city, all right, or that mile radius. And it may not be, I'll keep it simple, a great mile radius, right? And so this organization becomes a conduit for them in so many different ways to not even just learn hockey, but to maybe see beyond their town, right? And at no cost. So we've talked about this. There is no need to price people out of this sport, right? Here's an organization that has literally figured it out, right? And we should be celebrating. I'm not just saying this because I'm from here. I've just been watching Snyder hockey most of my life. And again, you're getting top level athletes to the next level, even in that environment, right? So I wanted to just, again, I'm not trying to mansplain anything. I'm excited about it. All right. And it's just like we've talked about this, Mike and Chris, we've talked about it. Here it is. She just blueprinted it, and they're having the same success as a $50,000 a year super AAA elite showcase club, which I'm not trying to insult, by the way.
Right. But I'd probably argue that it's even more success because we don't know. There is no metric to tell me how many of my 15U AAA players have gone on to anything.
Right.
Like, I mean, and ice hockey is fine, but, I use the example of the my closest organization I work with is Ice Hockey in Harlem, right? Watching a JJ Velez like literally come through the program, be a student, hire him as one of my summer hockey camp counselors, goes on and works for Rocket Mortgage, graduates college, and now is the executive director of Ice Hockey in Harlem. Like is exactly, Sam, what you're talking about. Like, I'm sure at the beginning of Snyder hockey, it wasn't a bunch of it wasn't that community's it didn't look like the community that was helping on the ice wasn't the community, right? It was probably a bunch of philanthropic people that really wanted to help out, people that want to get involved. But now the community is starting to look like the community, like the people on the ice. Like you're saying, all of a sudden you graduate and anybody from that area is now back on the ice again, working with those kids, which inspires that whole next generation of kid. I don't know if we can say we're doing a very good job with that at the club level, because nobody knows. There's no metric, there's no statistic, there's no follow-up, there's no to your point, Lee, there's no alumni, recognition of,
No.
by the way, our 18U AAA team just graduated, 25 kids from high school, and they're all going to this college. So
Yeah.
Sam, just from the Snyder point of view, how hard is it for you to get people like outside of these communities to understand? And maybe it isn't hard, because it sounds like it can't all be just from one philanthropic person, right? Like, what's the support staff that a program like yours needs outside of just funding? Like, how many different components are there from people in, getting ice time, the rinks? I don't know, because I'm not in that area. So what does that look like to you? Like, how is that support staff work around your program? Because I'm assuming much of it is volunteer.
So we are very fortunate to have around 30 full-time staff. So we're a decent sized organization. And that does definitely go back to like funding and resources. Like, we are very fortunate with the setup that Mr. Snyder left after he passed away. And then also the work that our development team does in seeking out grants and seeking out donors and keeping things working that way. But we do have 30 full-time staff. We are split up into a few different departments. So there is a hockey team, and so they're very much focused on all the ins and outs from learn to skate all the way to our travel programs. We have staff working at each of our rinks, site coordinators, so people who are really building that community at the rink and getting to know students. And then we do have some other staff who are focused on the travel side of things, because that is, we understand, a whole different different bucket of worms. So yeah, our hockey team is pretty robust. I think we have 8 or 9 full-time staff members there. And then we do have education team and life skills team, and then other administrative staff for the organization. But we also do have a really robust part-time staff base. So there's probably 130 part-time staff members of the organization. And so there's definitely varying levels of how much people are working and the roles that they're doing with us. But we are serving different locations throughout the city. So we basically have to replicate services at each of those rinks. So we need to have Learn to Skate going. We need to have reading buddies happening. We need to have tutoring happening at each of those locations. So we definitely have a nice sized staff who are supporting all of the different initiatives that we do, and kind of allow us to continue to grow and do new things to make sure that we're supporting students on the ice and off the ice.
The other key component, Sam, I think we can talk about is involving the community. And Lee and I are so honored. I was just blown away when I heard what was going on in your neighborhood community rink in 2 weeks that we're taping this, October 15th. My heart just filled with so much joy when I heard about it, and then for you guys to invite us to be a part of it. Thank you. So grateful. And I'm just so impressed at what you're doing for the kids and for the whole neighborhood. If you could talk about that. And I think that's a huge element of your success, is involving the community.
Yeah, Christy, thanks. I'm really excited to have both you and Lee out to our event on the 15th. So we are hosting a fall festival, fall community festival at one of our rinks, Larson Skate House, which is located in the Cobbs Creek area of the city, so kind of southwest area. And so we are a part of kind of a larger initiative that the Free Library of Philadelphia and another organization called Read by Fourth is hosting. So that whole week is Reading Promise Week here in Philadelphia. So there's different organizations around the city that are hosting events that will be promoting literacy and getting students and families excited about reading. So the Sims Fall Community Festival is going to be a part of that. And so we're really excited. We're going to have Christy and Lee there to be doing a reading of Puck Hog, their book, and we're going to be giving out copies of the book, signed copies by the authors. So really allowing students to engage with reading and speak to an author and get to think about hockey and how it ties back to literacy, or how it can tie back to literacy. And then the rest of the afternoon should just be fun stuff happening. We'll have different community vendors there, hopefully getting a bounce house, some fall treats for families to enjoy. So really trying to, and obviously there will be some free skating happening. So really trying to bring people to the rink, both our families and families just from around the neighborhood, like you said, and just have a fun fall afternoon and have literacy be a big component of that. So yeah, we're really, really excited. This is the first time we're hosting an event. We participated in other events last year, but we're really excited to put our own spin on it, and hopefully get some students and families who aren't aware of hockey in the loop with us and trying it out in the future.
I just, along with Christy, we love the opportunity to give back, right, and to hopefully inspire. And again, it's all hockey kids. We've done a lot of elementary school trips and things like that too, but to be able to speak to the Snyder hockey kids is exciting. And Sam, one of the things I love about the way you're speaking is that, again, we said this at the start of the episode, education, life skills, reading, all of these things are just always intertwined with the game. You had said earlier that you have an education staff and a life skills staff. I want to tap on that because I know you're heavily involved in that, obviously. But maybe we should walk the audience just quickly through, what is the day of a Snyder hockey student athlete, right? Because it's not just you're to the rink and you practice and you go home, like most of us, right? What is that day like? What does it encompass? How does education and life skills play into that?
That's a great question. So I think a lot of we do definitely want to intertwine programs and make it so that education and life skills are something that is inescapable from being a participant at Snyder hockey, because we feel very strongly, again, that to get where you want to go in life, whether it be in the hockey world or not, you need those skills. You need to be strong educationally. So for our Learn to Skate families, for example, students will come in, they're obviously on the ice and learning to skate. There are life skills activities that the coaches are leading. So it's a lot about friendship and getting to know one another and building that community within that small group of students. We also this year are launching, every Learn to Skate player is going to be getting a book from us this year. And so that is, I'm forgetting right now what the title of the book is. But all the students are going to get a copy of the book. And it's about, it is Jamal Myers' book. He's an NHL player. I'm so sorry. I definitely should have had it written down.
Don't worry about it. We'll make sure we get that in. It happens
Perfect.
to everyone listening to this show, including the three of us. Don't worry.
Well, we give out stickers to our kids. So I mean that's don't worry about the name of the book.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean, see, this is my point, right? Sam, this is the point, is that you're not like to what Lee's saying, you're giving out opportunity, like you're Lee, like I'm telling kids, hey, you really should learn how to tape your stick better. And you're in a constant educational spin, right? That you want to come here, you need to fulfill this. You want to achieve this, you need to fulfill this. And I think that, I'd like to hear more about that. Like, you're coming in, like, are your coaches, are you training your coaches and the people on the ice? Are there certain things you do on the ice to enforce like that STEM type of environment? or is it just hockey and then they get off the ice and it's education?
And especially with all the stresses and challenges in these kids' lives.
Yeah.
We definitely try to keep things as mixed as possible. So we do have academic instructors, and so they're the ones reading with students after school or working on homework with students. And then we have coaches. So there is a division of labor as far as that goes, but our staff is really great about asking about school and making sure that's something that they're talking about while they're getting ready or while they're on the ice. Like coaches do ask how the day goes, do ask about report cards and things like that. And then we've also found that using coaches, especially for us, so we collect report cards from all of our students, and we have required tutoring for certain students in the past. And so even for the students who aren't required to do tutoring, if we're seeing that they're struggling, we're really trying to talk with the student and offer them support, but then also work with the coach and have the coach have that same conversation with the student, because hearing it from somebody else and hearing it from coach who you really respect and care about, and hear that they care that hockey is, or that school is just as important as hockey, can really reinforce that for students. So we do have some separation, but we try to make sure that we're building towards the same thing. And I think this, with the staff that we have in the organization, everybody understands that school is the big focus here, and we're all kind of behind trying to do whatever we need to do to get students on the right track as far as that goes.
A unified front. How about that? What a novel concept. So look, I do want to say at this point of the episode too, I think it's important for the three of us, Sam, is that we're not anti-club hockey in any way. I think a lot of times we spawn conversations here that sounds like, oh man, club hockey is really messing up. We're rooting for club hockey. We want to inspire this conversation in club hockey. Right, Mike? It's like I want to inspire my youth organization to do more things like this. And that's unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. But, I want my kid going to his club team and hearing about the great graduates that have gone on to have success beyond hockey or success in hockey outside playing. Right.
Well, yeah. And I think we also have to understand, and Sam just hit on it, and Snyder hockey gets it.
Totally gets it.
Athletics is the vehicle that we can help our children. Like it's the one thing they love doing. Like I don't, there are, listen, there's a huge contingent of kids out there I know that love getting up in the morning and getting dressed and going to school. I get it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more. There's a lot more. And especially in my world, I know in my world, I have kids that like, they want to get out of school. They want to get to the rink. Like they want to get there. And, and the fact is, what we're doing is what Snyder hockey is doing is what we all should be doing. I mean, actually the way I met Christy was my gift to my 8U kids. Christy, I don't know how many years ago this is like 2000 and.
Don't date it, Mike. Don't do that to yourself.
It's a long time ago. It was a long time ago. But the gift was, and I'll tell you, I can't believe the pushback I got from this, was that we would give the kids the puck hog as an end of the season gift. Every mite, all 80 mites, all 80 kids got to leave, and they all read the book, and they had to send us back like a note on what they thought about the book. And like, to me, that was like, oh, that was better than any medal I could give them. It was better than another T-shirt they could get. And you would think that everybody, like I know in the group that I was with, the board was like, wow, the kids want to do it in a book. Like, I don't know, maybe they want to read it. I don't know, maybe it's a good time for you to sit in bed with your kid and actually read a book that's a hockey book. Like, I think it's really cool, Sam. Maybe you could even, because you just said you've got another book too that you're handing out from an NHL player. Like, how cool is it that you're able to take hockey books, like When Hockey Never Stops, and when the puck hog comes out, like taking these kind of hockey related books and use them as the way you can speak to your students.
Exactly. And I do remember the book for Learn to Skate is Hockey Is For Me. But even for our Learn to Play,
I knew we'd get it.
We'd get it, exactly. Yeah. Our Learn to Play players are also going to be getting a book, one called Hockey Goals and another called 5-Minute Hockey Stories.
I love it.
And so, we felt very strongly that if students are falling in love with the game of hockey, tying a book to that makes it's a no-brainer. We also spent a lot of time trying to make sure diversity was a part of that story. Again, hockey is an overwhelmingly white sport, and that isn't the population of students that Snyder hockey is serving. There is a lot of Black and brown students in our population. So it's
Right.
important to find books that have hockey players of color, especially, to kind of just continue to reinforce that the students who play for Snyder have a part in the hockey community and can see themselves potentially becoming NHL players or college ice hockey players, or just playing until their love for the game runs out or their body doesn't allow them to do it anymore. So tying that literacy back into hockey is definitely something we're really, really excited about.
Right, and I've also discovered, and I've gotten a lot of letters from moms, especially moms of boys, and they weren't very interested in reading at all. They just couldn't find a book that would ignite a love for reading. And then they found our books, and all of a sudden their kids wanted to read and didn't want to put the book down, and that got them kind of lit the fire, got them to read other books, and really got them wanting to pursue that love for and develop a love for reading, which is a great way to get kids to read, is
Right.
find something that interests them. And so there are a heck of a lot of hockey books out there. So that was really, I felt a lot of gratitude knowing that.
You know, Christy, I'll jump in here too and say this, that, you know, Christy's been writing hockey children's books longer than I have, and we wrote this one together. I've been blown away by the response, not just from parents, but from the kids. Christy, I didn't tell you this one. I just got a call the other day that, oh yeah, my son did a book report on your book in school, and his whole class wants to read the book. So I think, Mike, back to your point of like, what, they don't want a book. No, that's the parent saying that they don't want the book, right? The kids actually love this stuff. And Christy, as you said, I didn't get a lot of hockey books I would have loved to read a hockey book when I was in school, you know? So, and Sam, I think you're totally right that we need more books that kind of share the full on experience, that it's not just for one type of kid, right? That anybody can enjoy this game. And I think it's also important too, that within Snyder hockey, again, reading, academics, life skills, and hockey are all kind of on an even wavelength, that these all work together. And I think that as a hockey community, really nationally, internationally, there's more we can be doing. And I think that conversation starts with those of you listening, the parents, kind of just stepping up and saying, hey, let's do this. Maybe we can read to the kids. Oh, they're not going to want to do that. You got to break through that stigma, right? And again, I'll never tell a parent how to parent, right? There's no perfect parents. But when I see parents and their kids are playing 7 sports a week and there's not much time for homework, I just kind of want, well, they love to play. I know that's because that's all you're doing. You know, it just kind of peeked my head over and like wondered, just, you know, there's a lot of ways to bring in this educational stuff that can be fun, that can be understood, right? That you can make it part of the day. And I wish we would do that more. Again, Snyder Hockey has championed that, for lack of a better word. I'm gonna say it again. If you have not paused this episode and done so, go check out their website. Read that annual report. It's not boring. It's not what you think, right?
And watch the videos.
Right.
Some of it, I got all teared up watching some of the stories that were shared. And what comes across the screen is a tremendous amount of gratitude, especially from the alums who come back and want to give back and see that same kind of success that they experienced and share it with other kids. But I also, Sam, I was hoping you could talk about the plans for Snyder Hockey, because you guys are growing. Wow. Tell us about the rink that's on the table for next year.
Yeah, so we're really excited. We partnered with Philadelphia Parks and Rec and the Philadelphia Flyers to rehab one of the outdoor areas at one of our rinks. So Scanlon Ice Rink, which is in the Kensington Harrogate neighborhood of Philadelphia, honestly, Scanlon is probably one of my favorite rinks. And so it's really exciting to see that there's big investment going into building out the outdoor space. And so there will be an outdoor rink that we will be having, and it'll be beautiful, and we'll be able to host programming there during the warmer months. There'll be a new playground. Sixers have actually also come into the agreement recently and are going to be redoing the basketball courts.
That's awesome.
So we're really excited that hockey is going to be a big part of that. The outdoor space is growing, and we're going to be able to use it in new ways, but also thinking about new playground, new basketball court, like again, going back to the community, it's not just going to be Snyder students who are going to use the things that are the new things that are coming to the rink. It's the community that's going to get to take advantage of it. So we're really excited to kind of be growing our footprint at one of our rinks and thinking about new and exciting ways we can be engaging students with that new space.
It's just fantastic. It's like an inspiring episode overall. You know, Sam, before we close this, I do want to ask kind of this in a point blank way. For the parents listening that go, I don't know how to get my kid to do more schoolwork. I just, you know, I don't know how to handle, you know, school and hockey. Just, do you have general tips or thoughts on for parents of just how you can help incorporate education, life skills, you know, the things that you do just into the day, right? And again, nothing's ever easy to shift, right? But what are your just general tips to parents or even coaches on how to kind of make this more of a fruitful environment overall?
That's a great question. So I do think, and we kind of talked about this a little bit with the hockey book part of this conversation. So finding what students like and enjoy and letting students explore that further. So if hockey is that thing, let them dive into hockey. But if it's trucks or space or something else, lean into that and allow students to read books and find articles and explore that as much as they can. I think a part of it is also about like culture and expectations. So making it clear, like we kind of always like, I think when the organization started, like there was a part of us that was like, we need to get students to graduate high school. And at this point, like there is no conversation about whether or not you're graduating high school. Like that is a bare minimum expectation of the organization, and all the students know that. And so like now the conversation is, are you going on to college? Are you going on to trade school? Are you going to find a union apprenticeship that you're going to take advantage of? So I think setting those high expectations and kind of going back to the culture, like allowing students to see that. We have college pennants hanging in all of our rinks. We'll have college nights where college teams come out and they're wearing their jerseys or some other gear that they have. So like making it very clear what the expectations are and kind of trying to reinforce that with the environment that you're creating. But I definitely think on a one-on-one level, just allowing students to find what they like and enjoy. Because a lot of times school is a very structured, rigid environment, and
Right.
it can turn students off from that. So don't feel like you need to stick with the structure that the school gives you. If there are graphic novels that your student really loves, allow them to read them, because they're going to get the reading in and they're going to be thinking creatively about things, and it's going to help get them to where they want to be, and then hopefully they're opened up to other things. So yeah, again, meet students where they are, meet families where they are, and hopefully that's a recipe for success.
That's a fantastic answer. And like I said, I'm always telling coaches, like, are you listening as much as we're talking? And it's hard. I'll be totally honest. It's hard for me. I'm a talker. Obviously, I'm a podcast host. That's all I do. But I have to remind myself, Lee, shut up, listen to what they want. And I love it. Meet them where they're at. That might be the theme of the whole episode here. Does anybody else have any other questions before I close this out? Like I said, I don't want to ever step on Mike and Christy's toes.
Just for me, I mean, only because I think we would ask this of anybody that's doing what you're doing. And I mean, I don't think I'm being, you know, overly dramatic here where I say, you know, you're literally saving kids' lives.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, what can we do? You know, what can the general public do, whether you're in the Philadelphia area or outside of Philadelphia? What can we do to support a program like Snyder Hockey?
I love that question, Mike. Thank you. So like Lee said earlier, we have a website. If you're ever interested in donating financially to the organization, there's very clear links on the website to doing that. And one thing to note, we do with Mr. Snyder's, the system that he set up when he passed, there is a 2-to-1 match. So every dollar that gets donated to Snyder Hockey, we're actually accessing $3 of funds.
Wow.
So your money goes extremely far donating to Snyder Hockey. But there's other ways to give back if you're interested in volunteering, or you're in the area and you have equipment that you no longer need. If you have some kind of organization and you think we might be able to work together, please reach out. We definitely are always willing to take whatever kind of help the community is able to give to us.
Fantastic. You know, I revered Ed Snyder my whole life. And it just grows even after his passing. But Sam, it's really people like you that inspire me. that, jump into an organization like this, do it full time. You're dedicating your professional life, and I'm sure a lot of your personal life, to the well-being of children, right? If that's not a coach, like the definition of a coach, a true coach, I don't know what is. And again, it's not even in your job title, which is amazing. So I want to thank you and everybody over at Snyder Hockey for everything you do for the community, but moreover for sharing this today, because I got a lot of insight out of this. And I don't think there's any way anybody's leaving this episode not going, you know what, we could do that, or we could look into this, right?
Yeah. And reach out to them. They have the blueprint for the successful empowerment program that sees success far beyond the ice. This is a great opportunity for, I hope the whole country is listening. Seize this moment, learn how to do it in your community. And can you think how wonderful our kids are going to be? So many kids that have seen so much success because of this program, and you can duplicate that success. It's not that hard. They've done it. They've proven it.
Right. And remember, you don't have to be a Flyers fan to do this. If you can be, for those of you listening going, I don't like the Flyers, don't worry about that. You just get over it. There's no ego in this for any of us. Christy's 100% right now. Joking aside, Sam Napierkowski, fantastic interview. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Lee, Christy, Mike. I really appreciate being here, and I'm really excited to have you guys out on the 15th and continue this relationship from here. So keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll make sure we get some content from that to share too. But for now, that's going to do it for this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to check out the website for Snyder Hockey. If you don't know what it is, go Google it. You'll find it real quick. Also, make sure you check out all our other episodes. Remember, anywhere podcasts can be heard, the entire library is there, or you can check us out at ourkidsplayhockey.com. And remember, share it with your friends, put it in your team snap, your bench app, wherever you're talking with the parents. Share an episode if you find it good, and please give us that 5-star review. It really does help us out a lot. Finally, just want to thank you, the listening audience, one more time. You have put us in the top 10 of hockey podcasts in America. We're just blown away by that every time I say it. So thank you so much for that. And without further ado, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week. Happy hockey. Take care, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.